going to speak against them. Up to this point, families and churches have been ineffective in stemming the growing tide of global wickedness. In the midst of this political, moral, and environmental upheaval, people desperately seek an effective way to stem the growing tide of universal immorality. Religious and political leaders, urged by suffering constituents, call for stronger legal measures to restore godly principles and peace to the land. As a result of this misguided pressure, the government passes laws that directly conflict with the law of God. But this is not the first time in history something like this has happened. You might recall the familiar story in Daniel chapter 3, when the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar commanded all in his realm to bow down and worship the enormous golden image he had forged. However, 3 young Hebrews knew this command was a direct contradiction to the second commandment regarding idolatry. Determined to remain true to God, they refused to bow down to the statue. The king was infuriated and ordered them cast into a fiery furnace, but God miraculously intervened and saved their lives. And then there's the story of Daniel in the lion's den. You'll recall the king of Persia issued a law that no one should worship any god but himself for 30 days. But Daniel knew that to obey this law would mean that he had to violate God's first commandment. So Daniel bravely continued his habit of daily praying openly to God, even though it put his life at risk. Daniel's enemies soon reported this violation to the king, who reluctantly had his trusted servant thrown into the lion's den. But once again, God's power was displayed as he miraculously spared Daniel's life. Likewise, in the last days, Revelation predicts that an evil power will compel the governments of the world to enact laws regarding how people should worship God. These laws will outwardly appear to promote morality, but in reality, they prepare the world to embrace the mark of the beast and the Antichrist.
For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect.